Good morning. While we remain standing, I'd just like us to observe a moment of silence. And this moment of silence is really for us, the students in particular, to be able to assimilate the proceedings of today and be able to apply their minds. And also just in honor of the frontline workers in the COVID pandemic that has happened. And in particular, linked to the last point, is in honor of our previous executive dean, Professor Mandela Pepeta. So it may just observe a moment of silence. Thank you very much. And the academia may be seated. I'm now going to call upon our acting dean, Professor Helena van Rooyen, who will begin with the proceedings. The students may be seated and the rest of the class.
Good morning, Vice Chancellor and distinguished guests and all our colleagues, and then most importantly, good morning to all of you, our first MBChB class at Nelson Mandela. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you here today, and thank you all for making time to join us here today. This is a very special occasion. Today marks yet another historical moment for Nelson Mandela, but especially for health sciences faculty, as our very first MBChB class will be taking a pledge declaring their commitment and dedication to the medical profession here on our awesome Missionvale Campus. It's a truly proud moment for all of us. It is worth noting that the academic program and the refurbished facilities on this campus have been deliberately designed to support and enable a new way of learning and teaching to absolutely ensure your success. What you see here today is years of hard work and meticulous planning on the part of the university and many dedicated colleagues, and most of all, our late Dean, Prof Pepeta, who would have been so proud today. I want to take this opportunity to reiterate what I emphasized in my welcoming address in the beginning of this year, that interprofessional education and collaborative practice forms the cornerstone of the educational philosophy of this Faculty of Health Sciences. We believe that this approach ensures that graduates are well-rounded in knowledge, competencies, and skills beyond their chosen field of study. I urge you to remain open to learning from other disciplines, to be challenged and to be inspired. Only as a strong and united health professions team can we address the enormous challenges that the health system of South Africa is facing, and in doing so, forever change the lives of the vulnerable people that we serve. As you embark on your journey as a medical student, I hope that you remember this day and that you make a mental note of your declaration and commitment to being the best medical practitioner that you can be. When times get tough over the next few years, and when you find it difficult to remember why you decided to pursue a career as a medical doctor, please remember this day. Today, you will commit to assuming the responsibilities and obligations of the medical profession, to put self-interest aside in the service of humanity. Always keep in mind that patients and communities require much more than science and knowledge of medicine, but needs health workers who exude warmth, empathy, and a deep understanding and devoted competent care when they or their families are at their most vulnerable. COVID-19 is still very much a reality, and this situation, as you know, remains fluid and can change in the blink of an eye. Nevertheless, the Faculty of Health Sciences is committed to your success, and therefore we urge you to utilize all the resources at your disposal, the wonderfully dedicated staff, success coaches, excellent support staff, phenomenal and amazing technology to assist you during this transition period. A year of hard work lies ahead, both for you and your educators, because you are all pioneers. Enjoy your time as a student while staying safe and adhering to protocols. I want to conclude by sharing a well-known quote from Nelson Mandela with you. It goes like this: education is the most important weapon that you can use to change the world. My sincere hope and wish is that you use your weapon wisely in pursuit of good in ensuring a just and healthy society, devoid of all forms of discrimination and social injustice. I wish you well and great success on this amazing journey that you have just embarked on. Thank you, Professor Muthwa, for allowing me to share just these few thoughts. It is now my privilege and great pleasure to introduce to you Professor Muthwa, our Vice-Chancellor at Nelson Mandela. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you, Prof.
We are learning with these masks, so please forgive that little bit of a glitch this morning. Thank you very much, Professor Diana van Bruyen. I'm going to try and stay pragmatic and practical and smile through because it's a bittersweet moment for us this morning. So, Program Director, I want to thank you, Professor Nomvete. I want to recognize our Deputy Vice Chancellors that are here. I've seen Professor Cheryl Foxcroft, who is our DVC for Learning and Teaching. I've seen Professor Dr. Thandi Mgwebi, who's our DVC for Research, Innovation and Internationalization. Welcome, Dr. Mgwebi. I've seen some executive deans here. I want to extend again my greetings to Professor Diana van Bruyen, who has been stellar in acting as the Dean of Health Sciences following the passing of our friend and colleague, Professor Pepeta. I want to greet our Director of the Medical Program, Professor Nomvete, who has been leading this program up to now. And I want to greet all the scholars and academics that are here this morning, members of management, representatives from our donor community. I've seen my friend Andre from APSA and colleagues, so I would like to recognize and greet you, colleagues. But most importantly, I want to greet Osingaye of today, our medical students. It is with great humility for me that I greet you this morning. But before I go there, I really want to recognize Dr. Vuyokazi Pepeta, who is with us this morning. She is our friend, our sister, has been with us together with Professor Pepeta all the time in university processes. So it's lovely to see you today, Dr. Pepeta. It's a very courageous act of you to be here this morning. It is with humility that I greet you this morning in what will certainly be remembered as a historical moment in the life of our young university. I stand before you, filled with a constellation of emotions, with pride to see our first inaugural cohort of medical students here at Nelson Mandela University. And I'm standing here with a sense of joy at your remarkable achievements that have enabled you to be here today as a medical student. It could not have been easy for many of you, I know that. And also, I'm standing here with a feeling of sheer gratitude, considering the enormity of the collective journey that has brought us to this ceremony today, coupled with the prospect of all that lies ahead for you, as Professor van Bruyen has said, to complete the journey up to graduation, when you leave this university to serve in this noble chosen profession. For our part, we commit that we will do all we can as the university to enable your success and make sure that your time here at Mandela is productive, generative, and memorable. It is my wish that today remains etched in your memory throughout your life journey, knowing that you have made history as the first cohort of the 10th medical school in South Africa, and the first medical school to be started and realized from scratch in the post-apartheid era in South Africa. So you have made history. My hope is that thank you very much, colleagues. My hope is that the oath that you will take today serves as a signpost that will guide you throughout your practice of medicine, wherever that may find you in the future, and in whatever role you choose to deploy that talent, either as a medical practitioner or as a scholar of medicine, like some of our professors that are here this morning, Professor Nomvete being the example of that. Nelson Mandela University is more than just the name of the institution at which you are now undertaking your studies. Our identity as a university is irrevocably bound to that of our namesake, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. To this end, we place social justice at the core of our purpose as a university. The quest is reflected throughout our 3 scholarly missions of learning and teaching, of research, and of engagement. We are unequivocal in our resolve to position our institution as a university that is in service to society. So if you forget anything that I've said today, you must remember that we are positioned as a university in service to society. And then we can only achieve that through our scholars and our students. So it is important that you understand that. It is critical for me that becomes the DNA and the fiber of every graduate that comes through this university. Our wish is that the pledge that you make today affirms your commitment to serve with integrity and humility in discharging your responsibilities to the public first, as a medical student, and later as a practitioner. It is a solemn promise through which you pledge to do what is morally right in your duty of care to patients and to society. Even though most of us will remember Mandela as the iconic global leader who led the fight to abolish apartheid and who laid the foundation for all of us for an inclusive and democratic South Africa, his work in advancing health equity is equally profound. I wish to share just a few striking examples of this with you today. Madiba was tireless in promoting children's rights to health care. One particular expression of this was his support of efforts at access to life-saving vaccines against preventable diseases. In pursuit of this, he served as the founding chairperson of the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations Fund Board, the well-known Gavi. Through this vehicle, Madiba gathered together world leaders, advocated for every child's right to immunization, and secured over $800 million in commitments for universal vaccination programs in the rest of Africa. In recognition of the global contribution of Gavi, our university a few years ago awarded an honorary doctorate to its CEO, Dr. Seth Berkley. As further acknowledgement of Madiba's love of children and his belief in their right to health care, our university, more recently, in 2019, I believe, if I recall, we bestowed an honorary doctorate on Sibongile Mkhabela, who served as the CEO of the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund for 2 decades. One of her greatest accolades that we recognized as a university was leading the campaign to raise the capital funds required to design, build, and equip only the second dedicated pediatric facility in Southern Africa, the Nelson Mandela Children's Hospital. With the right access to healthcare enshrined in our constitution in South Africa, as president of the country, Madiba further championed access to healthcare through initiatives such as the Pepeta Health Train. This mobile hospital brought much needed medical and educational health services to people in South Africa's most remote rural areas. Mandela also played a critical role in destigmatizing HIV and AIDS, at a time when globally everyone shied away from talking about this. Despite high global death rates in the early 2000s, and we also remember that he had his own personal tragedy of his son who died of AIDS, and he went public on this in order to destigmatize HIV and AIDS. The other day, I again listened to the lecture of one of the most outstanding young African writers, which I admire, which I'm sure some of you know of, Her name is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, where she talks about the pitfalls of looking at human beings through the prism of a single story. She reflects that our tendency to regard humanity through the perspective of a single story strips people of their humanity, and it minimizes the value and richness of their diversity. I thought I should tell you this story as a medical student. She concludes by saying that a stereotyping that is embedded in a single story does not affirm people as individuals, as communities, and as nations with an asset base that they bring to every situation. She concludes by saying that the tragedy of looking at a person and for yourselves, at a patient and at communities as a single story, the tragedy of that is that that is not a complete story. It is for this reason, therefore, that here at Mandela, we espouse the philosophy of a humanizing pedagogy, which recognizes and affirms the diversity of strengths and the richness of experiences that our students bring to the learning experience. So that as we teach, we learn from you. It is my hope that you will experience this in our educational philosophy and that you will embrace it and internalize it as you go about with your training and later as you go about with your practice. We would have fulfilled our role if you can do it. I want to thank at this stage, as I move to conclude, Professor, our national government for entrusting us with this noble responsibility of having this 10th medical school. This is today not the launch, so I will say more at the launch. Our provincial and local government and the people of this city have played a very key role in keeping the dream of the medical school alive. I want to thank my predecessor, Professor Derek Swartz, our former Vice Chancellor, and our University Council for their vision and groundwork in making sure that we today have yourselves here as our first cohort of medical students. Indeed, the role of the medical fraternity in this city in the early days of planning and up to now has been sterling, and I want to thank them. The work on planning for the school was first driven by Dean Vic Exner and the team in the health sciences faculty colleagues. We thank them. For me, personally, I am not going to be able to leave this podium without mentioning the outstanding role played by our departed executive dean, Professor Lungile Pepeta, who was taken from us too soon, whose dedication, whose hard work, energy, vision, laughter, love of medicine, and the love of his people shared with us daily the vision of the medical school that will be designed to reassert the dignity of the most vulnerable and marginalized communities. That vision has led us this far. I hope that in taking your vows this morning, you will commit to keep that dream alive. We will be following your paths as students with keen interest. I wish you success, and I look forward to celebrating with you into the future on your graduation day. I want to thank you this morning.
Thank you very much, JC, for those encouraging words, strengthening words, words that actually allow us to think deeper into how we conduct ourselves. Thank you so much. I also want to just acknowledge and thank my leader, Daliana, Professor Van Rooyen, for the beautiful and welcoming speech that you've given us. Just going to take a brief 90 seconds to allow our health and safety officer to just reorientate us should we need to escape in a moment of fire or hazards. Nonetheless, please do come forward to just reorientate us. During the orientation, I'll just invite Dr. Pepeta to prepare herself to come and address the students. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Olisa Lubambo. I'm a health and safety officer at Nelson Mandela University. I'll go through with you with a safety briefing that we usually do when we have our event so that you know what to do in case of emergency. We're currently in the hall at the Missionvale Campus, which is room number 508-003. In an unlikely event of an emergency, an alarm will go off. So if there is an alarm, so you need to evacuate. Please calmly evacuate the building using the exit door. In this hall, we've got about 5 exit door, which is at the back is 4, and then this one. There is the arrows and the running man that will show you where to go. Please be calm so that you can notice these signages. Please assemble by the assembly point, which is outside the wall. So when you go down, you go around, you will find the assembly point there at the back of the building. If the emergency is caused by fire, try to leave the door closed. It will confine the fire. So leave the door closed so that the fire can be inside. If it is the bomb threat, please leave the door open. Please make sure that you have signed the register. We do have screening stations there at the gate. I hope everybody just went there so that we can have all your records. Do not come back to the building unless it's declared safe by the security and myself as a health and safety officer. Ablutions are available in this campus, but not in this hall. We're using the next hall. There is the ablutions. We'll find the securities there that will direct you to the ablutions for the males and the females. There is no planned fire drill today. So if the alarm is off, then which means you need to evacuate immediately. For more information, you can visit our sheet department, which is not here. This is in North Campus at the K Projects, room 104 and 107 for any questions that you need, especially the students. So if you need anything when it comes to health and safety, or you feel that you are not safe, you need to contact us. We will be able to come and help you. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for the moment. I think my under 35s wanted to clap. I could see that they were doing those aircraft signs, you know. It did feel like an aircraft for a moment there. But that's probably what it is, because what Prof Van Rooyen and VC Prof Muthwa have done, they've been onboarding us. It was first check-in, then it was onboarding. Now we're about to fly. So that's quite important. And so our pilot for the morning is going to be Dr. Pepeta. Now, Dr. Pepeta is a as we explained, is a dear friend of ours, and I will not get to that part which has been discussed. But she's also a medical practitioner who spent a lot of time in the community health centers. She still continues to be involved with community medicine, and it was actually quite fitting to have her to come and address you. Dr. Pepeta, please come forward.
I would like to greet everyone in this venue in the wonderful name of Jesus Christ. I greet the Vice Chancellor, the Davises, all the executive deans and the deputy deans, the faculty exco, the director of the medical school, and the campus manager, the student leadership, and all the colleagues in attendance. Most importantly, especially a special greeting to the first year medical students of the Nelson Mandela University. It is such an honor to be invited to be part of such an auspicious occasion. I want to thank the university for trusting me to put on the shoes of an honorable man, the late Professor Pepeta, who was the pioneer of the establishment of the medical school, which is the second medical school in the Eastern Cape. What an intelligent man. It's a pity that you did not get the chance to meet him. He's an intelligent man, was a dedicated man, a purpose-driven man, an innovator, a visionary, a dreamer, a man who was committed in making a difference. He was very passionate about education. Education was the only language that he understood. He was a gentle giant. He was a great leader that remained connected to his roots. Imbondo, Umram, Umbe. His journey is that of, I always compare his journey to that of Jesus Christ, because Jesus was sent to earth to perform his task, and after that he was taken back to God. That's what happened to Professor Pepeta, because he did all he was tasked to do on earth and was taken away from us. He's a man who, anything that he touches or he touched with his hands, it turned to God. May his soul rest in peace. Today I just want to congratulate all the first year medical students. It is such a privilege to be part of this occasion. It's not just the first year medical students, it's the pioneers of the medical program of the Nelson Mandela University. This is not just a moment of being admitted as a first year medical student. There were many that were deserving, but you should be proud of yourself that you made it this far. The career needs dedication. It needs people that are hard workers. It needs people that have purpose. The purpose will keep you in the journey of this career. For me, it took me 6 years post-matric to be able to get into medicine. Today is an oath taking. which is, it forms the most important part of the medical profession. So you are here to commit yourselves. It starts from first year. It is a journey. It is a pledge that you need to internalize. You need to have for the rest of the preparation of getting into the medical profession. Oath is a declaration made by any person in the medical profession that marks an explicit commitment to ethical behavior. It is commitment to assume responsibilities and obligations of the medical profession. It is committing to help those who place themselves in our care and community at large. It is an ethical framework that guides medical professionals or guides medical professionals. I will talk to you as medical professionals because I see doctors more than medical students as they embark their journey in the medical career. It encompasses principles of respect mostly. You need to know about patient autonomy, which is the right of a patient to make decisions about their medical care without their healthcare provider trying to influence the decision. And non-maleficiency, you do no harm to the patient. That was one, they are all important, but that's the one that is always echoed in any medical profession. Beneficence, you do everything for the benefit of the patient. And then justice, the fair treatment of all patients. All this will then be covered, into detail in the medical ethics module. We've spoke of commitment, we spoke of ethical behavior. All that needs you to be loyal. It needs you to follow a certain moral standard. It's an oath, it's a pledge. Therefore, if the commitment is violated, it becomes punishable. Because medical profession is not dealing with objects, it is dealing with patients, human lives. Professor Pepeta was very passionate about disease prevention and primary health care rather than curing the disease. As a result, Nelson Mandela Medical University program follows 4 pillars, which is disease prevention, health promotion, treatment, and rehabilitative medicine. The way he was so passionate about this program, he even went to Cuba because at Cuba the main focus is preventative medicine. So as Professor Pepeta said, that I work in the primary healthcare facilities. These 4 pillars, they are easier. They are mainly, it's only the healthcare primary clinicians that would be able to, it's easier for them to carry out all these 4 pillars. The primary healthcare is the first point of contact with health services and provide a point of entry to the entire health system. Now, as a doctor in a primary healthcare facility, you become the first contact with the patient. Therefore, it allows you time. You have time to be with the patient. It also, for us to achieve the 4 pillars, you need to treat the patient holistically. Holistical approach is mainly you treat the patient as a whole. Once that is done, it's easier for a medical practitioner or a primary healthcare practitioner to understand. It gives more or less an idea of what is going on in the community because you are not focused on treating the disease. but treating the patient as a whole. It also, by easy access to the primary health care, it allows screening early. By screening, I mean you taking blood pressures, you do blood tests, you do breast examination, pap smears. That then will help the patient, it will help with the early detection of the disease and early management of the disease. It is a very beautiful program. It is the first program done in South Africa, in South African universities. You are the pioneers. It would be lovely to see the other universities adopting prevention more than curing. Once we focus on that, we would have the whole Eastern Cape, the whole Eastern Cape system will be better when it comes to health and well-being of patients. Also, research has shown that patients admitted in hospitals with complications related to manageable health or conditions such as hypertension were 4 times more likely to lack access to a primary healthcare providers. In conclusion, easy access to a primary healthcare facility. It promotes prevention of the disease, early detection, early treatment, delayed disease prevention, and delayed disease progression, and thereby reducing mortality and complication. Thank you once more. Congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Pepeta. This is a total just to keep stamping that Mandela presence in your hearts. And this is extended from the faculty and the entire executive. Thanks so much. Thank you once again. That made me almost feel a bit redundant because I've found myself as I grow shifting away from primary health care. But the interesting thing is that we do a full circle. And even at the specialist and research level, we realize that you have to be a primary health care practitioner at first. So thank you so much. That's a reminder. It's the more you get complicated, the simpler you become almost in a way. So for some of you, we call it an MBChB because it's two. It's one is art, one is skill. There's medicine, and then there's surgery. I think that's why it's called an MBChB. It's a Latin word. Now, so you must have the art of medicine and have the skill of a surgeon, hopefully when you graduate. But all of those, we've now realized that they are falconed on primary health care, and this is why we have taken this trajectory. So I hope that has been clear. Thank you very much, Dr. Pepeta, for that wonderful speech. Now, we are going to get into Uvutondaba, as it is called. So they meet the essence of it all. So this is how we are going to do this. Only the students are going to stand, and we are going to read line by line of our oath. And I will lead with the sentence, and you will read it. Everyone will read it. Okay? And then at the end, I will be able to allow you to sit down. So may all students rise. So just to reaffirm that this is an oath-taking ceremony, It is not the launch of the medical school. The launch of the medical school has got different proceedings. Right, so we can all focus on the oath, and you will read as you follow me. In the presence of family, friends, teachers, and colleagues, and in the spirit of Hippocrates, I pledge to keep this oath.
And in the spirit of Hippocrates, I pledge to keep this oath.
First, I will do no harm.
First, I will do no harm.
I will honor those who teach me the art and science of medicine.
I will honor those who teach me the art and science of medicine.
I will remember with gratitude and humility
I will remember with gratitude and humility
those whose illness or injury provided examples from which I learn.
those whose illness or injury provided examples from which I learn.
And in their honor,
And in their honor,
I will continue the pursuit of knowledge.
I will continue the pursuit of knowledge.
I will share my knowledge with future colleagues
I will share my knowledge with future colleagues
and all who are in want or need of it.
and all who are in want or need of it.
I will practice medicine with conscience and humility,
I will practice medicine with conscience and humility,
and I will act with enduring respect for the dignity of human life.
and I will act with enduring respect for the dignity of human life.
Foremost in my mind
Foremost in my mind
will be compassion, respect, and impartial care for my patients.
will be compassion, respect, and impartial care for my patients.
I will hold sacred the trust of my patients
I will hold sacred the trust of my patients
and respect the secrets that they confide in me.
and respect the secrets that they confide in me.
I will not be swayed by greed,
I will not be swayed by greed,
prejudice,
prejudice,
or selfish ego
or selfish ego
in the practice of my art.
in the practice of my art.
Finally,
Finally,
I will do all in my power
I will do all in my power
to help my patients
to help my patients
reach physical,
reach physical,
mental,
mental,
and spiritual health.
and spiritual health.
And I will strive for this balance in my own life.
And I will strive for this balance in my own life.
May I have the courage
May I have the courage
and the character
and the character
to hold these principles sacred
to hold these principles sacred
from this day forward,
from this day forward,
as I place myself in the service of humankind.
as I place myself into the service of humankind.
This oath I make solemnly,
This oath I make solemnly,
freely,
freely,
and upon my honor.
and upon my honor.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. To some of us who are medical practitioners, it sounds almost like a renewal of vows. And it is. In my space of study, there is the Hippocratic Oath, which has got much more difficult English than this one. But it is always a reminder of why you are a medical doctor. And I would encourage you to go back home or to your residences and interrogate the Hippocratic Oath. You will find that it goes beyond just the practice of the art of medicine. It goes into medical education as well. And this is why we've got medical schools. It also speaks onto the sharing of knowledge and skill, which is why we believe in training you. So go back and interrogate it. You find if you stick by it, you are unlikely to find yourself needing or calling an advocate at an unholy hour in the day. So please keep it in mind. And we have facilitated a response from the students based on the request that was submitted. And it is quite pleasing that you have already indicated some form of leadership by wishing to respond to the oath. So I will invite your first class rep, and that is Kasim Osman. Kasim Osman, if you may come forward. As well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor, for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the class. It's funny to think that 7 weeks ago, as a class, we barely even knew each other's names. The progress we have made in such a short period of time is quite admirable. Not only did we build bonds with each other that will last a lifetime, we cared for one another and became each other's support structure. I don't think it's fair to call us a class anymore, because we're so much more than that. We have become a family. And I am proud to be part of this amazing family. As a class, we know that we would not be able to stand here today without the hard work that had to be put in to make this medical school a success. So from the bottom of our hearts, we would like to thank each and everyone who contributed and made it possible for us to stand here today. The level of support that we have gotten at this medical school is quite amazing. Our lecturers and staff made it very clear from the start that we were more than just a bunch of student numbers. They constantly reminded us that they believed in us, and they always had an open door policy. We could have not have asked for a better team of staff to carry us through this program. I was going to compliment the curriculum, but I don't think I'm qualified to do that yet. And a friend of mine reminded me that I haven't done the crepe cycle yet, so I should just hold that. Class, it truly is a privilege to be here. Because when, and note ladies and gentlemen, I use the word when because I know it's just a matter of time. When Nelson Mandela University's medical school is recognized as one of the top medical schools in the world, we get to stand up proudly and say, I was part of the first cohort. This privilege also comes with a responsibility. We have the responsibility to honor Professor Pepeta's legacy. We have the responsibility to strive for greatness, to revolutionize medicine, because we are the future of medicine. Let's go out and change the world.
Thank you so much, Kasim. Those are wonderful words. I think particularly, I want to stress the gratitude you've expressed that the staff of the medical school continue to do. It's admirable what the team has done. And I am sure that they'll be encouraged to make sure that you go through the next 6 years, 72 months. Let's make it sound long. So it's 72 months, and you can come out. And I do like, I'm a physician primarily, internist, so I do like when people talk about the crepe cycle. Because when you realize that you hate it, then you go and you specialize. So, yeah, all right, so there's certainly some indications there of a bright future. Thank you so much. Let me allow the people who have assisted this day to be less costly on our budget. And this is the Amalgamated Banks of South Africa, better known as ABSA. Yes, and they have assisted us with supporting with beautiful clinical codes. And take note, it's a clinical code when you are a medical student. It's a lab code when you're a medical scientist. All right, so it's a clinical code, so thank you. Think like that. You will be what you think you are. All right, so please. And so, Andy, if you may come, and I do know you've also assisted us with some edibles afterwards, which you shall talk about. That's probably the most important thing for a gastroenterologist, food. So, Andy, please.
Prof Muthwa, leadership of Nelson Mandela University, Palushi Malesa, our regional executive for APSA colleagues, and most importantly, the first cohort of students for the Nelson Mandela University Medical School. Good morning. I'm reminded today, just of a function I was at just before lockdown. I embarked on a roadshow with one of my new young colleagues, and we were visiting a number of organizations across the country. We were seeing municipalities, large corporates, and a couple of hospitals. And it's fairly new to the team and one of the younger members. And the deal was that on the first few days, I would do the presentation, and we were seeing some of the mayors and municipal managers and so on. And then on the last day, we were speaking to a new intake, a small intake, of nurses at a hospital. And third day arrived, and we arrived at a venue very similar to this, and we were actually into the back of this large hall. And now in the Eastern Cape, for those of you who are new to the province, a bit of orientation, and we are obsessed with clan names. So even the VC was referring to Mati, but that's a clan name. Also Petroleum. So my colleague, I was trying to go to her, and he called me Kakini, this my clan. So we were trying to and we arrived at this auditorium, and instead of finding sort of 10 young nurse interns, there was some international prof speaking to the doctors, the specialists, and the professors. And this room, as I said, it's full of specialists, doctors, professors. Tuaka takes one look at this, and he says, "Am I supposed to speak here?" And I said, "Yes, Tuaka." And he takes his laptop and says, So I'm looking at this, I kind of know what Tuaka felt like on that day. But I must just say, on behalf of APSA, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here today on the earth-taking ceremony of medical school. As APSA, we have had a long and a proud association with the university. Looking back through some of our records, I was reminded of projects we've done back in the day. The stuff we've done on training pharmacy assistant people to assist in our province. We've done stuff around enhancing the level of maths and science education in our province. We've done things around small and medium-sized enterprises, and then more recently, a significant number of scholarships focusing on missing middle students. So it's indeed a pleasure to be here. But I'm reminded of another function I was at. One of the speakers was being a bit long-winded, and someone said, please tell this person they are not the reason we are here today. I'm very well aware that we're not the reason you are here. So I'll resist the urge to tell you all about our 30-odd products for individuals or about our bespoke student offering. It would have been injustice of me to not tell you about what we are doing, especially since the pandemic has started. Increasingly, we have been taking the bank to people. So throughout the pandemic, there's been a growing demand for us to work off-site. So I was just saying, it was to Debbie earlier on, since level 5, we got to go out. There were organizations, essential service organizations that said, look, can you guys come to us? We need to open accounts for our workers. You know, they're not volunteers and we need to pay them. So we had to come up very quickly with a safe way of opening accounts for people off-site. So we've been doing quite a lot of that, primarily with essential services. So we've worked at health facilities, we've worked with food production, and we've worked with quite a few tertiary institutions as well. So hopefully on another occasion, we'll engage some of you around those. But today, it's to congratulate the university on finally having our city's first medical school. I think Prof Foxcroft, if I heard one of the interviews with you said it goes back to 1946, that some of the councillors back in the day had this vision for a medical school. It's taken a bit long, 75 years, but here we are. Hopefully the Metro's other plans won't take that long, but at least Pepeta now has a medical school. So congratulations on that. And then to you, the students, to wish you every success with your studies. Now, having been interacting with varsities for many years, I'm well aware that you can't speak at an academic institution without quoting another academic. So I've been told. So I thought Harvard would be a very good place to start. The former dean was Dr. Burwell. And, you know, it's not just us economists that like to say, well, on the one hand this, but on the other hand that. The medical fraternity aren't far behind us. I mean, take just this mask thing. When COVID started, don't wear a mask. They do wear a mask. They don't wear a mask. They wear a mask. I mean, and then eat carbs. Don't eat carbs. How do we know what to do? You know, snake bites. Tie something around it. Don't tie something around it. So just some advice from Dr. Burwell. He said, half, that's 50%, of what you were taught as medical students will, in 10 years, have been shown to be wrong. And the trouble is, your lecturers don't know which half. This is Harvard, not me. So come exam time, if Prof Muthwa ask you something you don't know the answer, just tell them, we proactively avoided la 50%. Instead, 4% of the stuff is going to be found to be more resilient. Thank you very much.
Like a Kenyan trophy. Yeah, this is why we've raised the pass mark to 75%. Thank you so much for those humorous words, and also for just instilling a little bit of some inclination towards financial independence and awareness. And I'm sure that we'll continue to have such relationships going forward. I am going to ask the ultimate boss. She gives us a compass in all ways in the faculty. And she always, she'll fall and she'll say, wait, and say, no, fix this. Daniela and you should sort it out. And she actually said, no, she's not going to say anything but to say thank you. There's only 2 words. But I see she's carrying the iPad, so that's good. Professor Foxcroft, please come on. Prof Foxcroft is the DVC, Students for Learning and Teaching. And so we are kind to, only through her we reach the DVC, we reach BC, Prof Muthwa. So please listen to her carefully. Thank you.
So I'm a little bit short. It'll be better if I have my mask off. We once actually had an honorary doctorate recipient who said he had a long speech and he had a short speech. And his long speech was, thank you very much, and his short speech was, thanks. So I'm going to say a little bit more than thanks. Because this is just such an auspicious occasion today. It is quite amazing for me to actually just see our medical students for the first time. And to know that the journey that's been long and has had many people involved in it is coming to fruition. I particularly want to thank the Faculty of Health Sciences, first of all, Professor van Rooyen, for your opening remarks, but also for the leadership, you and Prof Muthwa and Dr. Du Toit sitting way at the back there, and also the other lecturers in the program and other leaders in health sciences, the way that you've actually done all the planning and got this together so that today we are here at this moment with the oath-taking ceremony. Thank you very much for that. And then to your team for putting together the program today doing all the arrangements, etc. It's all gone very, very well. So thank you for that. Then we have our VC with us, and students and lecturers. You've been privileged to hear from our VC today. The wonderful address that she gave, and I'm hoping that there'll be a nice YouTube video of this, because it's something that you actually need to engage with, much like your oath, because there's a richness in there in terms of the type of graduate that we're wanting you to be in a couple of years' time. So thank you very much, Prof Muthwa, for that. Also want to thank my colleagues from senior management and the executive deans of the faculties that have come today, because this medical school is actually a university project. It's one of our flagship projects, and so you can see the support of a range of people in the university for this. So thank you very much, colleagues. And then Dr. Pepeta, it is, as everybody's been saying, a very bittersweet moment for us that we don't have Lingili with us today. But it's so courageous of you to have stepped into this space, to both remind the students of Lingili and the leader that he was, and the groundwork, the foundation that he's laid. And I'm pretty sure he's smiling down on us today. I can actually see his smiling face in my mind's eye. So I think that's very important for our students to know the legacy on which to build. And then you as a practitioner being able to provide guidance to the students in terms of their journey to become medical practitioners. So thank you very, very much for your input and your presence with us today. It's really valued. And then Kasim, so nice to know who the student rep is of the medical students. And I look forward to actually engaging you around the curriculum once you've experienced all the parts of it. Because that's part of this humanizing pedagogical approach, in fact, that we are collaborative between you and your lecturers in working out your learning program and activities, etc. So I'd love to hear some of your ideas as we go along, for example, because we value student input. And then to APSA, Andy, I actually didn't know how to follow you. Thank you so much for the way that you actually engaged with us today, but also for the wonderful work that APSA is doing in various aspects, but in this case, for us with our medical students, we really do appreciate that, and we are sure we'll still be walking a longer journey with you. And then that brings me to our last important group today, and that is the white-coated students sitting in front of me. As Kasim has said, and others have said as well, this is a historical moment, and you will face many moments of history as you go through your journey with us. Now, it is customary to kind of sometimes when you're giving thanks to give gifts. And I'm not sure if you know, but Nelson Mandela said the following: there can be no greater gift than that of giving one's time and energy to help others without expecting anything in return. And so you've chosen to work and to be educated in a helping profession. And you've got 6 years ahead of you now to develop the gift in you to help others. We look forward to when you become the first cohort that graduates. I didn't call it a class, Kasim, I called it a cohort, okay. But we look forward to when you go out into the world with this gift that you've developed, and that you go and help people, and particularly those from underserved and vulnerable communities. So remember, you've got a gift, which is the greatest gift, to help others. So make use of your time here to develop that gift, so that when you leave us, you are going to be those that serve the community. So thank you to everybody. I I think we look forward to the refreshments now. Fixed.
Yes, thank you, bro. Yeah, I think as we draw to closure, I do want, on behalf of the medical school, to thank you, VC, for your captaincy in this ship, and we certainly have been steered in the right direction. And for this inaugural oath-taking ceremony, that you could find it in your time to make time for. I am well aware that the next one may not be as exciting as this one, but it will have a different level of excitement. But I'm really very happy that you could come. Registrar, it's always lovely to see you. I don't think the students acknowledge that you are probably their closest friend out of all of us. So thank you once again for making the time to come and honor this occasion. And to all the DVCs and to our EXCO, and to Utata Uoi, who is the father of the campus. Thank you so much for allowing us to express the happiness that we have with this cohort of students. Mom Pepeta, God bless you all the time. Thank you. Right, and we're going to have our academic procession exiting, and I am just going to ask everyone, except the academics, to just rise up in honor of the academic procession.